M0FXB Hamtech, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk duplex or dual hotspot. If you look there on the left, you can see my hotspot chugging away with my Anytone 168, but this could be any DMR radio. Yeah, I've got that cool R2D2 background as well, loving that. So what's the difference between a single hotspot, which is like this one, and you can get these for about £45 preloaded with a SD card and ready to go. And if you've got a DMR digital radio, I feel that you are missing out massively by not using a hotspot. This is like having a repeater on a hill but in your front room that you can change and configure as you feel. There is radio involved. It's just instead of going from here to the hill, you're going from your radio to this device, and that is an RF antenna. That's not internet, that is real radio. Anyway, so what's the main difference? Well, it really only makes a difference if you're talking DMR, because DMR channels are cut in half. If you've never heard of slot 1 and slot 2, effectively the channel is cut in half, so you get to use the one channel like it's two channels, but because of it we can send two lots of voice and digital signals at the same time. Okay, so let me just show you here. I mean, there is a process to setting this up. It can feel confusing, but to be honest with you, DMR's like that anyway. So if you look on the right hand side here, this is my Pi-Star dashboard. So this dashboard controls my hotspot. Pi-Star was, developed by ham radio operators. If you look at the bottom here, one of the names is Andy Taylor, and we have to say, wow, thank you. Pi-Star completely added something amazing to the digital part of ham radio. So well done, Andy. And he doesn't live far from me because I'm in Weston-super-Mare and he's in Wales, which is very near. So the configuration, what you're seeing here, if you look here, we've got the activity coming in from my connection to the hotspot, and one is coming in talk group 23526 and the other one is coming in TG91. The key difference between these two signals that I'm receiving are, one is coming in and it shows it here, look where I'm circling, TS1 time slot 1. The other one is TS2 time slot 2. So effectively, if my Anytone, and I'm using the Anytone 168 because it's brand new out, and I just thought, yeah, let's use that. But it could be the 878, the Aliens HD1, RT3S, OpenGD77. It makes no difference. All DMR radios are exactly the same. Remember that. They are programmed in exactly the same way. They look different. The software looks different, but they are the same. Okay, generally, I'm sure you'll think of one that isn't. So effectively, if my 168 could receive two at the same time and you could hear them, you would hear them. My other radio does do that. Pretty sure it's the Radiology GD88, is it? It will receive two at the same time and show all the talker alias and information. So if I just go to mine now and put it onto the B band, which I think it is, and then key on the B band, and that's the A band. So let's go on the, and on the A, I just keyed both there. So I've brought back to life talk group 91, yeah, and 23526, and they're coming through. So let me show you the frequency. So the hotspot you're seeing in the background, just here where my finger is, they're about £70. Underneath the case, you've got a Raspberry Pi Zero, so basically a computer. On top, you've got what they call an MMDVM hat. So it's linking my DMR radio, and it will work with Fusion and D-Star, to the internet and connecting it to these talk groups that are run by a server. A server is a computer, basically, a very big computer that can handle a lot, but that computer is handling all the talk groups. So let me just first of all show you the frequencies that you put in the code plug, the software that programs the radio. Just turn it down a bit, and then after that I'll show you what the frequencies that you put into Pi-Star. So in the radio, if we go to channels, and we'll just choose, let's find the first one, which is, gonna find it here, choose this one here, number 19. So you will have to create this channel and put exactly the same frequencies as me, and then you'll be fine. So receive is 434,450, transmit is 439,450. I've called it Duplex 91, and I've got a 2 here for slot 2. And if you look on the right hand side here, I've got color code 1, which again with hotspots they use color code 1, and I'm using slot 2 on purpose because I want the other channel to be on slot 1. So slot 2 there, and then the talk group contact, you choose that. That's the talk group it will transmit on. So if I key the mic when I'm using this channel called Duplex 91, yeah, slot 2, it will key on talk group 91. Okay, and that's all you do, obviously digital, and that's that channel set up. The other channel was set to HubNet. So if we look at, I called it Duplex Hub SL1. So if I double click that, exactly the same, but obviously a different title. And then instead of selecting the talk group, double click there, you can see where the talk groups appear. And you can add talk groups by just going into contacts here. I'll show you in a sec. So I've selected 23526, which is HubNet, okay, just here. And I've specifically selected slot 1, so it's a different slot. Okay, and then everything else, the frequencies are the same, everything else is the same. So close that, save as you go, of course. Always do that so you don't get lost. Now to add a new, say you like, well, I want to do it, but I want to connect to a different talk group. You have to add it. You might have it in a massive long list, but otherwise, if you haven't, because these code plugs tend to come with hundreds and hundreds of talk groups pre-installed. I like to just keep it very basic. So if you go to contact talk groups, I've only got like 7 here. You'll have probably 1,000. So all you do is when you get to contact talk groups on the left here, just double click a blank space and you can just create one. So we'll just do one for practice. We'll call this one favorite. Why not? Call it favorite, right? Okay. And then group call always, if it's a talk group. If you're doing a command, it tends to be a private one or a friend, person to person, DMR to person, DMR number to DMR number, then it's private because it's 1-to-1. And then, but the crucial thing is the number. So I put in a number here of say 78, which is a random number, by the way. I just created a talk group. So now if I go back to the channel that I was creating, so scroll to the top, double click channel, and just double click the channels we're talking about. It could be anyone. If I click HubNet now, I can now choose the one I've just created, okay? Which is called, what do we call it? Favorite, there it is there. I know it says favorite, but it's got a number. And that's the crucial thing that you've got to remember, that it's all about numbers with DMR. So your DMR number is your phone number, my DMR number, your friends. The talk group number 91 is it's a room number. The only one that I think is an exception to that is talk group 9, which is more of an invisible wire between your radio and your hotspot, where you can control it, and then you can do what they call manual dial. Manual dial is basically hold down, say, the 0. I'm pretty sure it's the 0 on this. Yeah, and you can type a number and key the mic, and then it will let you use that talk group without it being pre-programmed. And you can send commands as well, okay? And that's what talk group 9 is. So many people think that talk group 9 is a talk group. It's not a talk group. It's a connection between your radio that you're talking into and the hotspot or repeater. So, okay, send that to your radio, but make sure you put these into a zone. So if you go to zone here on the left, double click. Zones are basically buckets of channels, groups of channels that you have created. Remember, with DMR, you are totally in charge. You do everything. If you borrow a code plug, someone has written that code plug, but you are in charge of that radio. You're programming that radio using software. So if you want to say you wanted to create a new one for your new duplex hotspot, you would go to zone here on the left, double click a space here, give it a name. So let's call it dual hotspot instead of, what did I call the other one, duplex. Yeah, and then you have to send at least one channel into it. Now these are all the channels that you've programmed. They are your entire channels that you've ever programmed. just choose one at random, and then there's a right hand arrow here, send it in, yeah, and just click OK. So now you've got a hotspot. So what I did with my duplex one is I sent in all the channels that I have created for my duplex hotspot, not for my other hotspot, just for that hotspot. So if I want to start looking at and using the other hotspot, I can go to hotspot here, and these channels are using different frequencies, different names, different everything. You get the idea? So you create the channels first, you put them into a zone, so that when you pick up your radio and you go menu, zone, select zone, you then select that group of channels that you've put in that zone. That's what you got to get in your head, you know. And it does take a while. It could even take years. It took me a long time to eventually get it. So right, so you've seen what goes on the radio. Now let's show you what goes on the actual hotspot. And we communicate with this hotspot via a browser. We don't have to connect a cable to it or anything. The hotspot has Wi-Fi. You can use Ethernet. You can plug a cable into it with an Ethernet connection. You can do that. Yeah. And if you look now at the moment, we're actually receiving. So I want you to see this. 2 at the same time now. Watch this. So they're both active right now. And we've got 2 radios active here. 1 hotspot. So there's the hotspot in the background. Okay. But it's running 2 radios. How can it run 2 radios? Because there's enough data coming through the slot 1 and the slot 2 to then feed those 2 antennas that you can see and run 2 radios. Now, like I said, if the radio was could receive and send out 2 at the same time, it would, but I'm using 2 radios here. So this is something that is really unique to a dual hotspot. It is more complicated. It's definitely more complicated, but the reward, look at the reward. So anyway, let's just go back to now the hotspot. So you've got your hotspot. I've explained to you it's a browser. You communicate via a browser. You get an IP address. It's up here, which you can search with a thing called Advanced IP Scanner. So if we go to configuration, I'll show you the frequencies in that and the setup. Look at all the activity just coming in here on the dashboard. How cool is that? But anyway, so let's just quickly show you. DMR mode at the top here. Also, instead, normally you would have this blue dot here where it says simplex, but we've chosen these 2 here, MMDVM host and duplex repeater. Now remember, you do have to have a dual hat. You can't just get your ordinary hotspot, you know, simplex, and do this. You need to buy a different hat, but they're really cheap. You can buy just the hat now for £20. So then scrolling down, the usual, you're selecting your hotspot here. You don't have to do that really. It's all done for you. But look, OLED type 3. The crucial one is get your call sign in. You can name the hotspot if you want, but I haven't actually changed the name. Get your DMR number in. And these are the frequencies. Make sure you get these right. Receive 439,450. Transmit 434,450. It's like a 6,000 megahertz split or whatever. Yeah, you can see it. Just freeze frame and make sure. I've actually written it down and I've stuck it on my computer so that I don't forget. Yeah. And then with your Brandmeister, you're choosing the server. Remember, there's a computer that's doing all the work here, and so I'm choosing Brandmeister, and then you have to get your Brandmeister password. So if you go to your account in Brandmeister, and if you don't know about that, create an account. Brandmeister is a server. You have to log in, go to self-care. It says self-care here, and then down here you've got to create any password. Get it in there, yeah, and save it, because you're going to need to put that here in where these dots are, where it says hotspot security. Get that in there, and then apply changes. Every time you change, click apply changes and be patient. Okay, once you've got all that in there. Now, one little trick for Brandmeister, I find this really helps. See, it says here, it says devices. Click that. It's going to tell you your hotspot is active. Try and turn all your other hotspots off when you're sorting this out. click it, and then scroll up and see here. See if we can show. Oh yeah, it's showing 2. If you say, for example, if I type in 91 here and send, and then click the right arrow, and then say 23526 here, click the right arrow. Every time that hotspot boots up, and I'll do it now, watch, 91, it will try and find that thing. See, it says success 23526, and that's HubNet there. So that way you don't have to keep connecting and logging in. There's actually a lot more that you can do. Yeah. And you can see as soon as I did that, it came to life. It's almost like keying the mic. So back to the dashboard, and then we'll finish the video. So I know you think, oh my God, DMI, it's so hard, it's too confusing. It is, yeah. But don't give up. Yeah, you don't say to yourself, oh, I'll learn this in a week, in a month. Say to yourself, I'll buy it today. The equipment, you can actually buy a DM1701 and a hotspot for £100 now. Yeah. And say, I'll learn it in 5 years. Give yourself 5 years. There's no rush. I tell you that, but it'd be the best £100 you ever spent. Yeah. So, right. Okay. And all this real radio stuff, just like, we're just hobby people talking to each other. We're not trying to, you know, talk about what is real and not real. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm a phantom of your imagination. Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous kind of talk. Not the conversation of it's not real radio. It's just a rude conversation that someone wants to have. Never reply to them, in my opinion. You're in charge. So thanks for watching my channel. And if you look here at the dashboard, it's going well. Sounding good. I can talk on HubNet or talk group 91. I can use 2 of my radios here. I can pick up this one. This is my Anytone 878. I could be listening to HubNet on in the distance there, but I could get my radio here and I can talk to someone on talk group 91 at the same time. You can disconnect the talk group. If you put in private call, if you hold down the 0, right, which I just done, okay, type in 4000, right? So we'll go, first of all, press the hash to get you to private. Okay, that's, sorry about this. Private, it says private, take it from me. Type 4000 and key the mic. Yeah, it will disconnect the other talk group, depending on what channel you've got selected on screen. How cool is that? You know? So anyway, I really do like the Anytone 168. People say, which one do you recommend? So I have to recommend the 878 because that's what everyone's got. There's more support. There's more code plugs. Yeah, we got both working right now at the same time. Look at the dashboard. You've got two red lines. That's because you're receiving 2 at the same time. Spot on. Bye for now. Remember to subscribe, like, buy my wife a coffee, and join my YouTube channel. Join the ride.